It's a little bit quiet today. Again, the sunken in spot, that's where the most thinnest crust and most molten section would be. That sunken in kind of weird shaped spot on the far end over there. If you drop something in there, it might go splat. It's just not bubbling right now, so it's not showing us any orange on the surface. The stuff underneath this, though, is probably pretty darn solid. You could likely walk across it. Not that that's a good idea, but it's solid enough you probably could, but not the sunken in spot. We should have brought something kind of offering throw in there and see if we could wake Kilauea up. I heard she likes gin. I've always thought if I could throw anything in the molten lava lake, it would be a full propane tank.
Quite a ways off.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens next. I mean, maybe this is the end. I doubt it, though. I mean, I think it's just going to pick back up again and start bubbling in that lava lake. There's Toshi, the other aircraft. We're going to swing back to the right. We'll get a last glimpse over shoulder on the right, but then we're going to continue down the rift and go see Pu'u'o'o, where it's been active in the past, too. So actually a couple things to see here. There's holes in the ground on the left, and these actually mark the rift itself. The rift comes out from the caldera on our left, and then it swings left and makes an arc here. You can find it by looking for the steam plumes. Think of it like Kilauea's crack down its side, right? A weak spot. But a little bit related but slightly different. These cracks on the right, those are stress fractures because all of the land beyond is slipping into the ocean off the side of the volcano slowly, moving like 10 centimeters per year on average. But the geologists have been watching all that, and they think it's possible someday the whole thing could catastrophically fail. It could all go in at once. Like if that whole thing fell into the ocean at once, it would be a mega disaster. They're talking like a 1,000-foot tsunami wave. It would be super bad. And they've got evidence that other places in Hawaii in the very distant past it's happened before. These sinkholes are basically like small versions of the caldera, so like where a magma pocket formed underground inside the rift and then drained, and then everything sunk in above. Chain of Craters Road, we were just crossing over. You can see the intersection on our right. There's a branch that goes off to the left through the trees, but then it dead ends right into the lava. That's because 1969, we had this eruption in front of us happen. It was called the Mauna Ulu eruption. That road used to keep going, but the Mauna Ulu eruption covered it all up. This one went for 5 years. So the road that dead ends back there used to come right over to this crater. This is Makuopuhi. Road came over here, there was a parking lot, and it actually turned right and went down the hill from there too. Lots of steam coming out. It's definitely hot down underground. It's not hot on the surface, but it is underground. We get a lot of rain around here. Rain goes down in, steam comes up. There's a whole bunch of lava trees coming up next. So when lava goes through the rainforest, it'll cling to the tree trunks, solidify around the trees. The trees, of course, then burn down, and it might leave a post where the tree once was. There's a bunch on the left and some coming up here heading to the right, too. Real defined ones over here. Can you smell the sulfur? It's coming from Pu'u'o'o in front of us. This is where we had eruption from 1983 to 2018. That 35-year eruption took place right here. Pu'u'o'o. It wasn't here previously. The ground was flat. It was all rainforest. The whole thing was created in that 35-year eruption. In the very beginning, it was geysering. They'd say it was a 1,500-foot geyser. I never got to see it, of course, but I showed up here in 2011, and it was definitely, this is where the action was. Let's take a look down inside this thing. 2018 when this stopped erupting right here. It's kind of the spring of 2018. Basically, the lava stopped coming out here, started sinking in. There was a lava lake inside there, and it started draining out. They got big and empty hole, and then they had earthquakes migrating down rift in front of us. See the steam up ahead? Rift continues. Earthquakes were going that way underground, so they knew internally the magma was moving. And the earthquakes kept moving and moving, and eventually they kind of centered under Leilani Estates subdivision, neighborhood out here in the distance. And they basically told everybody, hey, if you're in Leilani Estates, you should probably get out. And sure enough, lava started coming out of the ground. A bunch of houses, tons of houses were destroyed down there. It was all 2018. It was a pretty big mess. Previous to that, though, it's not like that's the first time houses have been destroyed. There was houses destroyed down here. Off to the right in the distance, that's Kalapana Gardens down on the shoreline. Royal Gardens used to be halfway down the hill over here, but it's all missing now, completely buried. Just tons and tons. Over time, it just happens. If you live over here near the volcano, it's kind of part of life. It might not be something a pleasant thing, but it's just something you're going to have to deal with someday. Well, maybe, anyway, it's a chance. Sometimes the lava would go down into the ocean. You could tell when lava's going into the ocean for a long ways out because there's a big steam plume. You can really get a sense for which parts of the lava flows are older and newer. And notice everything underneath us here, all the relatively fresh stuff is all 1983 and newer. But even then, a lot of it's got vegetation coming back. You get so much rain over here, it breaks down quickly. Stuff starts regrowing. Typically the ohia trees are first to grow back. Although the ohia trees are in big trouble. You guys heard about the rapid ohia death thing going on? They've got this fungus that somebody imported and it's totally annihilating the ohia trees. You can see it out here in the forest, all the dead trees. Mostly ohia trees that are being killed by this fungus. When the lava goes into the rainforest like this, it's pretty cool to see, but you don't really typically see the lava itself very much from above because it's concealed by flames and smoke, as it's burning things as it's advancing. And luckily though, the rainforest is so wet, the fires don't spread very well. It's like a big blazing hot steamroller smashing down trees and just going through the forest. Creating a lava tube behind itself to help its continuing advance, right? Well, as we leave the lava flows here, we're going to be headed back north towards Hilo. We'll pass through the Hilo area and then continue up Hamakua Coast. And ultimately, our next big destination now is Kohala, where the big valleys and best waterfalls on the island are at. I can't believe how clear it is. Like literally there's barely any clouds over here, especially compared to normal.